Hi everyone, welcome to Miss Adams Teaches Poetry. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the Edexcel Time and Place anthology, but we're going to focus on how you can prepare and revise your poems. Someone on one of my YouTube videos in this playlist asked me for some help choosing maybe like the top 5, and students at school every year ask me how to select the poems to have a really kind of good in-depth understanding of. So I'm going to give you the advice that I give them and take you through the big 6. So let's get started. Okay, so the first question I get is, do I need to revise every single poem? And well, yeah, you do really, because you've got to prepare for all eventualities. But in terms of whether or not you need to learn quotations for every single poem, that's a slightly different matter. So what I would say is this: you should have a working knowledge of every single poem in the anthology. And by that, I mean, you know the content, so you can tell me what the poem is about. You know the context, you can give me maybe 3 facts about the writer or the time that it was written. You know what the form of the poem is, and most importantly, why the writer chose that form, because that's where the marks are. And with the poem in front of you, you'd be able to identify some really useful quotations where you could analyse features of language and structure. But with the poem in front of you, so that's not about memorising quotations or anything like that. So the most important thing is working knowledge. When was it set? What was going on at the time? Something about the writer. What's the poem about? What's the form and why? And those are the areas that I would look at. But you need approximately 6 poems that you know so well that you can draw upon them from memory. Okay, so that means being able to quote those poems or paraphrase in detail, demonstrating your awareness. You don't really want to be paraphrasing majorly, because that's going to limit your ability to analyze language and structure. But if you do find yourself in an exam situation and your quotes have gone from your brain, then yeah, paraphrasing is the way that you can do it and make sure that your analysis is really tight on the one in front of you. So when you select your big 6, which I'm going to talk you through in a moment, so the 6 poems that you're going to know really, really well, a good way of preparing is to use a sheet like this. So this is easy to mock up, or I can pop a copy of it, a PDF of it in the comments if you like, with just an area for context, an area to quickly summarize the poem, an area for form, and then language and structure. Or alternatively, you could pop those on flashcards. And then that means you can get people to test you, you know, just little bits. You know, I always think little and often is the best way to revise for English literature, rather than just sort of smashing your brain with loads and loads of quotes. So little and often. So the next question is, how do I choose my big 6? So you need to have a selection that kind of crosses over themes and helps you kind of like make connections between. So that's why I've just done this little table for you. It's not exhaustive. You might not 100% agree with all of them, or you might want to add other poems in. But this sort of takes you through some of the kind of big themes, and then all of the poems that link together. So you can think to yourself, okay, well, I need to make sure that I've got a good one for power, beauty of nature that goes with lots of things, and work your way through that way. I just realized, for example, you could always have like in loss, if you looked at that as loss and death, you could chuck to autumn in there, for example, as well. But the important thing about the big 6 is that not everyone's is going to be the same. The poems that I love, or I would want to use, is because I have a connection to them, and therefore I'm more likely to remember the quotes. So I am going to give you an example, but I'd really encourage you to choose the poems that you have that connection with, that you think, oh yeah, I could cope with learning quotes from this one, so that I'd be able to draw upon it from memory. And if that means that you have to have a big 7, so be it. Have a big 7. That's not a problem. So here is my example. So this is my big 6, and I'm going to kind of show you how I came to it. So I've chosen composed, nothing's changed, where the picnic was, hurricane hits England, Romney Marsh, and London. Now, they're not all There are other poems in the collection that I love. So, for example, one of my favourite poems is I Started Early, Took My Dog. But I don't think it goes with masses of things. So I've not put that in my big six because I don't think it's the most helpful poem. So once you've secured what you think is your big six, which is kind of going on gut and thinking about where all the connections are, you then have to test yourself. So here's the collection of poems. I'm sorry that I didn't do them in order of the anthology. I was doing them off the top of my head. So I think to myself, right, if London comes up, what can I do? Oh, composed, easy, or nothing's changed. So that's fine. If nothing's changed comes up, ooh, what do I do? Maybe I do Romney for the idea of like a journey. Maybe I do Hurricane Hits England for the idea of sort of coming to peace with where you are or not. Or actually, I do London. Okay, so nothing's changed. That's easy. Where the picnic was, Romney. Absence, where the picnic was. To autumn, Romney or picnic or composed. Composed, London, obviously. Stewart Island, nothing's changed, or London for critical voices. Presents from my aunts in Pakistan, oh, Hurricane Hits England, easy. First flight, tricky. So what would I put with first flight? I'd think concept of a journey, so maybe composed. Ideas about kind of the power of nature, Hurricane Hits England, easy, that's the best one. Romney Marsh, composed or picnic. Home thoughts, Romney Marsh. Addlestrop, Romney Marsh, composed. I started early, tricky. I started early, possibly again, power of nature, so I might go Hurricane Hits England, or a kind of sense of journey and learning about yourself, maybe Romney. And then lastly, Postcard from a Travel Snob. Again, that's a slightly tricky one. Maybe that sort of idea, strong feelings about a place, descriptions of a place. I'd go Nothing's Changed. Again, for that sort of sense of negativity. Or London, actually, that might work. But that's a little bit of a stickler, that one as well. So that's the process I would go through. And if I was thinking to myself, oh, there are a couple of sticking points, I'm not sure about Postcard, then I might go, do you know what, let's big seven it. Let's chuck Stewart Island in there as well, for example. One thing that might sway you is looking at what has come up most recently. So, for example, Stewart Island came up last year. It is unlikely that it's going to be coming up in 2023, or if you're watching this video in the next couple of years. Let's just zoom through. So these are all the ones that have either come up or are used on the website as samples and specimens. Now, the exam boards have got a duty to be unpredictable. So please don't ever think to yourself, oh, well, Presence was on in 2017, so that's not going to come up again, because they're not going to want to be in a situation where they've got one poem left and haven't repeated anything, because then everyone will prepare for that poem. So please don't look at this list and think, right, I'm not going to worry about any of these, because exam boards can do what they like. But it does just give you a little bit of a kind of a steer. And of course, these poems can be in your big six anyway. But yes, I wanted to show you this just mainly for these ones. And, you know, after this year, I'll put in the next ones in the comments so that, you know, people can carry on seeing it. That's it from me. I hope that was helpful. Bit of a strange video, I suppose, but, you know, I just wanted to kind of labour the point that, yes, you need working knowledge of everything, but you can find a way to streamline revision so you're only learning quotes for about 6 poems. That's the takeaway. Any questions, pop them in the comments and I will come back to you. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so, and then you'll get notifications of when my other videos are available for you. That's it from me. Thank you so much. Happy revising.